show me my mission. What am I supposed to do with my life? I was trying to figure my life out. I walked in this comedy club October 8th and signed up to do comedy the next week because I just wanted to see what they did. I was always funny. I used to write jokes for comedians for $10. And so this girl found out that I was writing jokes for these comedians, and she said, why don't you write the jokes and do them yourself? And so I never knew what it was. So I went to this comedy club, I signed up for the following week. They had supposed to have 10 comedians go up that night. 9 of them went up. I'm sitting there, I'm not laughing at anything, nothing. I'm just sitting there because I knew everything they were about to say, but I also knew what they should have said. Right. Because I was funnier than them, I just didn't know it. And when they got to the 10th guy, they got to the 10th person and they called his name, and he had got frightened and left that night. He got stage fright, he got scared and he left. And so the announcer says, I'm gonna go to next week's list. Where's Steve Harvey? I'd never been on stage before. And I looked at the girl and I said, there's a dude in here who got the same name I got. She said, are you really that stupid? She said, that's you. So he said, Steve Harvey, come on up. So I went up, long story short, I finished the night. They brought all 10 of us up to have a clap off to see who wins. The audience decide. I won amateur night, October 8th, 1985. Wow. I won $50. I'm driving home for 40 minutes. $50. I'm crying the whole way home. My house was 40 minutes away. I cried the whole way home. I couldn't stop crying. The girl said, why are you crying? It's just $50. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm born tonight. That was the night that Steve Harvey was born. I went to work the next day, October 9th, 1985, and quit my job with $50. I have done nothing since that day except this. I've only done one thing, this. And you know, God has turned this into an amazing life for me. My father used to tell me, he said the 2 most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. Discovering why God made you is so important because everybody has a purpose, a mission. Right. But you only get your mission and understanding from God.
Right. And did your parents support your, when you said, okay, I quit my job, I'm going to be a comedian now?
No. No. Nobody supported that decision. No. No. My brothers, nobody. Nobody. The only person who thought I should do it was my father. Wow. Because my father you know, when I grew up in the United States, my father was a coal miner. He mined coal. He worked 2 and 3 miles underground. My father died from black lung. You know, it was very hard work. He made $5 a day. But my father was funny. And he was the only one that supported the decision. He said, look, son, you live one time. You only get to go around once. He said, if you don't go for your dreams, what you gonna do? He said, you cannot die with your dreams packed on your back. And so I quit. He was the only one. My mother didn't see it. My brothers and sisters didn't see it.
Did they hit you with that, but you're not even funny? Because a lot of comedians get that.
Oh, I got that all the time. Yeah. When I went to work the next day to quit my job, I put all my stuff in a box in my desk, and I walked into my boss, and I said, hey, listen, I really appreciate the opportunity. I said, but I'm leaving. He said, what do you mean you're leaving? What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to be a full-time comedian. He said, listen to me, Steve. You've been here 2 years. You've never said anything funny. As a matter of fact, I think you've lost your mind. He said, you have a wife and 2 children. Put that stuff back on your desk. Get rid of this foolishness. Go back to your job and raise your family. And so I did. I took my box back to my desk, and my best friend named Russell Middlebrooks, he said, hey, Harv, what you doing? I said, I just went in there to quit, and Tom talked me out of it. He said, man, you gonna let that dude talk you out your dreams? I said, well, he told me I got a family. He said, you're gonna have a family anyway.
Right.
He said, man, I can't believe you're not gonna follow your dream. I put the stuff back in the box. I walked back in there. I said, Tom, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm quitting. He said, listen to me. If you leave this job, don't ever come back through these doors. I will never hire you back. You're making the biggest mistake of my life. He said, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. I walked out. 20 years later,
His revenge.
he was in the audience in Cleveland, Ohio one night. He paid $150 to see me.
Wow.
He came to me backstage. He said, do you remember me? Of course I did. I said, yeah, I remember you. He said, you know, I always knew you were gonna make it. I said, oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow, and you were a boxer at some point as well. Were you doing that professionally?
Well, no, not professional. I fought Golden Gloves, you know. I was a Golden Glove fighter. I could fight. I grew up in you know, it's very different from here. I don't know that you all understand how blessed you are to live in peace. I was not so fortunate. I come from a violent neighborhood. We were violent. We practiced violence. In my neighborhood, you had to learn how to fight because you fought every day. There was no, I grew up in crime, you know, stealing, robbing, drugs. That was my neighborhood. I grew up very, very violent. So I had to learn how to protect myself. I was very skinny. You know, I was the same size as my son. I'm the same size as my son. He don't like for me to do that. But I fought welterweight and I was 6'1". I was 6'1", I weighed 147 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilograms.
140 pounds?
147 pounds.
Well, that's gonna be about 70 kilos.
I'm 6'1", and I weighed 147 pounds. I was skinny, but I was fast. Oh, I was fast. And I fought, but it was just Golden Gloves, you know, never professional.
Okay.
It was just a different time. I think you're very fortunate here that you live the way you live. I sat with Your Highness last night at dinner, and I toured the book fair with him. This man was so brilliant talking to me and saying the things he said to me. To be so powerful, but to make a person like me feel so low. Very humble, very kind, you know, that was, you don't get that. If you go talk to the president that we got, you're not gonna get that. That's not gonna happen.
I am an immigrant, so. So that one. You know, you're talking about your neighborhood, and a couple of years ago, we all watched the emotional moment when your wife surprised you that the name of that neighborhood was changed, the street that you grew up on.